千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Derek Lin, where we take a deep dive into the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I would like to extend a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. I would like to invite you to center your thoughts and direct your attention to this moment in time, to the here and now, to be fully present and mindfully aware as we all ready ourselves for this sacred process in the Tao with one another. Ironically, the Tao tells us to be humble, but then when we learn about the Tao, some of us can depart from that. There is a story from the Six Patriarch Platform Sutra that speaks directly to this idea. It is a story called Reciting Sutras. During the time of the Sixth Patriarch, this will be about 1350 years ago, so centuries ago, there was a monk by the name of Fa Da. He entered the monastic life at the age of 7, and he devoted his time to studying Buddhist Dharma. To further his studies, he would often recite the Lotus Sutra. The image that you see in this slide is part of the Lotus Sutra. One day, he visited Huineng, the sixth patriarch of Zen Buddhism. He bowed down upon meeting the patriarch, but his head did not touch the ground, as was dictated by the prevailing customs. The patriarch noticed this and pointed it out. He said, "If your bow does not touch the ground, it is as if you did not bow at all. You must be clinging to something in your heart. Tell me, what is your practice in your studies?" Fa Da replied, "I have recited the Lotus Sutra 3,000 times. The patriarch said, "If you recite it 10,000 times and understand its true meaning without thinking of the understanding as an achievement, then you can walk along with me. But now you have turned your back on your practice, and you do not even realize your fault." Listen to this verse. Bowing is meant to cut down pride. Why does your head not touch the ground? Attached to self, guilt will arise. Forget your merits. Blessings unbound. Then the patriarch asked, "What is your name?" Fa Da. The patriarch remarked, "Your name means Dharma attainment. But have you truly attained the Dharma?" He then spoke another verse. Your name means attaining Dharma. You chant the sutra without rest. Empty chants only echo sounds. Clarity of mind is called bodhisattva. You have the affinity of karma. I shall tell you to point the way. Believe in the Buddha beyond words, and the lotus blooms in all you say. Fa Da did not know how to respond to this. He began to realize the truth about the 3,000 repetitions in which he took so much pride. What he thought was an achievement was actually not what he imagined it represented. The end. The Tao. There is a lot to dig into in this story because the verses require some time to really delve into and understand. Overall, this story is especially well suited to illustrate the wisdom that we're studying in this chapter. Because Fa Da fell into the trap of self-presumption. He knew his reciting the Lotus Sutra 3,000 times was not something that other people could easily match. Indeed, most of them would consider his feat to be very impressive. So, because of this, he felt it gave him a high status. So much so that he could skip the usual expression of respect to the Six Patriarch. So this is something that you and I need to take to heart. His bow did not touch the ground, and it was not because of any physical difficulty, but because in his mind, he held himself above others. So it was not physical, it was mental. What about us? In our own lives, how often do you and I appear humble outwardly while remaining proud inwardly? Let us be honest with ourselves. How often do we justify and cling to some perceived merits or past deeds? When asked about his practice, Fa Da responded with the fact of his recitations, as if that would somehow explain away his lack of respect. This was a form of self-proclamation. He felt right, and fully justified in his own mind. This was an illusion that the Sixth Patriarch dispelled with his verse. Huineng delivered impromptu poetry, basically, to make a penetrating observation. What is that observation? Well, people often mistook work and effort for enlightenment, not realizing the repetition that was only a starting point. Real understanding was also required. Specifically, understanding without the ego. If Fa Da had reached that level, not only would he be able to walk alongside the patriarch, like Huineng said, but he would also be naturally humble and respectful in their meeting. It is the same for us. You and I may take pride in studying the Tao Te Ching, but going over the text by Lao Tzu, well, that is only a starting point. We also need to understand the Tao itself to apply it in practical, everyday situations. And this cultivation, it's got to be free of the ego for us as well. If the knowledge we acquire makes us arrogant, then we too have fallen into the same trap as Fa Da. This is exactly as Lao Tzu says in Tao Te Ching 24. Those who presume themselves are not distinguished. This is so important, as we can see in this particular story. Fa Da might consider himself distinguished, but his lack of humility said otherwise. We too may think of ourselves highly for knowing what other people do not. But if Lao Tzu were here, he would be the first to tell us that we are gravely mistaken. This line from Lao Tzu reveals another profound truth. The moments we claim righteousness, the moments we think we have arrived, we stop growing as individuals. Epiphanies in the Tao, they come not through self-promotion, but through quiet virtues. The Tao does not favor those who are certain of their certitude. Instead, it rewards those who continue to explore well beyond, well past the initial discoveries and insights. And this was also why Huineng was unimpressed by numbers alone. He knew all too well that effort was not the same as transformation. Repetition alone did not impart realization. Spiritual progress could not come from an accumulation of points, but only from emptying the self in order to let insights unfold like a lotus blossom. So we can conclude that Huineng's lesson, just like Lao Tzu, that lesson is timeless. In traversing our own journeys, we need to follow this example in looking for the light of clarity and the absence of ego. When we stop trying to prove we have attained something, that is when we begin to touch the ground of true wisdom. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.